My daughter hid something strange in my sewing box, thinking I wouldn't see. I waited until she left, then moved it to her car. 30 minutes later, the police showed up. I never thought my own daughter would try to bury me alive, but that Saturday morning in our quiet Oak Park kitchen, that's exactly what she did. The sun spilled across the table like warm honey while I folded quilts for the Lincoln Park Craft Fair. At 58, widowed 2 years, those fairs had become my small resurrection. Strangers smiling over my stitching, the smell of autumn leaves, the feeling that something I made with my own hands still mattered. I was humming, half lost in the rhythm of packing, when Lisa appeared in the doorway. She stood too still, shoulders drawn up like a child caught stealing cookies. Except my child was 25, and the thing she was stealing was my life. Hey, Mom. Too bright, too loud. Big day tomorrow, huh? I nodded, watching her eyes flick to my old wicker sewing box, then away, then back again. 25 years teaching Chicago public school kids had burned certain instincts into me. The quick swallow, the bead of sweat at the temple, even when the room is cool, the way guilt makes people move like their bones are made of glass. I saw all of it on my daughter's face. Mind if I look at your new patterns? She asked, already moving toward the box before I could answer. I kept folding, pretending absorption, but every nerve was screaming. She lifted the lid just enough to slide her hand inside the main compartment. I caught the flash of brown paper, the speed of her wrist as she buried something beneath my scraps of calico and spools of pearl cotton. 10 seconds, maybe less, then she stepped back, wiping her palms on her jeans like a thief wiping prints. Have fun tomorrow, Mom, she sang, and disappeared upstairs. The house fell quiet except for the blood roaring in my ears. I stood staring at the sewing box the way you stare at a rattlesnake that has just slithered into your bed. Whatever she had hidden, she wanted me to find it later, after it was too late to save myself. My only child had just planted evidence against me, my own flesh and blood. I thought of Robert then, how he used to tease me for being the human lie detector. If he were here, he would have placed a steady hand on my shoulder and said, "Maggie, breathe. Think." But Robert was 2 years in the ground, and the daughter we'd raised together had just declared war. My fingers trembled as I unzipped the box. The familiar smell of thread and lavender sachets rose up like a ghost. I pushed aside the top tray. There, under the innocent blue floral I'd been saving for a baby quilt, lay the small brown packet. I unwrapped it with the slow dread of someone defusing a bomb. A clear plastic bag, tiny blue pills stamped with the familiar M inside a box. 100 OxyContin tablets, maybe more. Enough for a trafficking charge. Enough to send a 58-year-old retired teacher to prison for the rest of her natural life. I sank onto a kitchen chair, the bag burning my palm like sin itself. All the signs I'd ignored crashed over me in a wave, the weight melting off her frame, the red-rimmed eyes I blamed on crying for her father, the shaking hands, the midnight phone calls behind locked doors, the endless pleas for money I'd given until my own savings were nearly gone. I had mistaken addiction for grief. I had mistaken desperation for growing pains. I had been willfully blind because the alternative was unbearable. But this was deliberate. She hadn't hidden the drugs in her own room or her car. She had hidden them in mine, knowing I'd be carrying that sewing box through Lincoln Park tomorrow, past police officers who patrol the fair, past drug dogs sometimes brought for show. One anonymous tip, and I knew whose trembling finger would dial 911, and Margaret Parker, pillar of the community, would be led away in handcuffs while cameras flashed and neighbors whispered. I would lose my pension, my teaching license, my freedom. And Lisa would swoop in as the grieving daughter, sell the house I'd spent 30 years paying for, pay off whatever monsters were chasing her, and walk away clean. I wrapped the pills back up, hands steadier now, rage colder than any grief I'd ever felt. My daughter thought she was playing chess with a sentimental old woman. She forgot her mother had spent a quarter-century outsmarting teenagers who thought they'd invented rebellion. Upstairs, I pressed my ear to her bedroom door and heard her pleading. "I just need one more week, Victor. Yes, 30,000, I know. Tomorrow night, I swear, the cops will have her by then. You'll get every dime." Then another call, voice syrupy with fake tears. "Miss Chen, the money's coming, I promise. Once Mom's arrested, I'll have power of attorney." Each word was a blade sliding between my ribs. But blades can cut both ways. I waited until she left for her non-existent job interview, then tore through her room like a detective possessed. Bank statements, casino receipts, a forged mortgage document bearing my own signature and her childish scrawl, $50,000 borrowed against my house from a loan shark named Amy Chen. My home, the one Robert and I painted together the summer Lisa learned to walk, already half stolen. I photographed everything, returned it exactly as I'd found it, then walked back downstairs with purpose in every step. The pills felt heavier when I carried them outside to Lisa's Toyota. I opened the trunk, moved her old gym bag, and nestled the brown packet deep in the wheel well where any competent search would find it, but not before they wasted time tearing apart my innocent sewing box first. I wiped every surface she might have touched, restored the box to perfect grandmotherly order, and waited. She came home buoyant, cheeks flushed with triumph she thought was secret. Interview went great, Mom. Might actually hear back Monday. She even hugged me, arms trembling with excitement. I hugged her back, felt the frantic bird beat of her heart against mine, and whispered, "I'm proud of you, sweetie," tasting the lie like blood. 15 minutes later, I heard her on the phone, voice pitched high with rehearsed panic. "Yes, officer, I'm terrified. My own mother, hundreds of pills in her sewing box. Please hurry." 12 minutes after that, red and blue lights painted my living room walls. Lisa flew downstairs in her Academy Award performance. "Mom, why are the police here? What's happening?" I rose slowly. "Let me get the door, honey." Officer James Wilson stood on my porch, 15 years older than the skinny boy I'd taught sophomore English, eyes already apologizing. Behind him, DEA agents in tactical vests. "We have a report of OxyContin stored in a sewing box, ma'am." Lisa jumped in, helpful as a poisoned apple. "It's right there on the kitchen counter, officers. I'll show you." I followed the parade, heart hammering so hard I thought it might shatter my ribs. Lisa practically danced ahead, certain of victory. The lead agent photographed, unzipped, searched. She lifted every spool, every packet of needles. Nothing. Lisa's face drained of color. "That's impossible. I saw—" "Saw what exactly?" James asked, voice gentle steel. "There was brown paper." "Funny," James said, turning to her now. The tipster was extremely specific about the sewing box, almost like they planted the drugs themselves and then wanted us to look in the wrong place. Lisa's mouth opened, closed, no sound came out. James nodded to the agents outside. "Let's try the vehicle registered to Lisa Parker." She tried to protest, voice cracking like thin ice, but they were already popping her trunk. I didn't need to watch. I heard the agent's calm announcement. "Bag of blue 30s, approximately 100 pills, concealed beneath spare tire." Then James, quiet and sad, "Lisa Marie Parker, you have the right to remain silent." She screamed then, raw and animal. "She did this! She framed me!" Tears carved mascara rivers down her cheeks as they cuffed her. She twisted toward me, eyes wild. "You moved them! You knew!" I met her gaze without flinching. "Sweetie, I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about." The betrayal in her eyes was absolute, as if I were the one who had broken faith. 2 weeks later, I sat in Cook County Courtroom 704 and watched the judge sentence my only child to 36 months in state prison. She wore orange that swallowed her whole, hair scraped back, the arrogant tilt of her chin finally gone. When they asked if she had anything to say, she looked straight at me and whispered, "I'm sorry, Mom." I believed the apology about as much as I had believed her tears the day she planted the pills. Afterward, I fought Amy Chen's forged mortgage in civil court and won. The house was mine again, technically, but every room smelled like lies. I sold it within 3 weeks, packed Robert's photographs and my sewing box into a single car, and drove west until the Chicago skyline disappeared in my rearview mirror. Now I live in a small apartment in Naperville where nobody knows my story. Sunlight pours through clean windows onto quilts I still stitch, though my hands shake more than they used to. Some mornings I wake gasping from dreams of handcuffs clicking shut on my own wrists instead of hers. People ask if I miss her. I miss the daughter I thought I had, the little girl with grass stains on her knees who begged me to teach her French knots, who fell asleep on Robert's chest while he read her Harry Potter in silly voices. That child died somewhere along the way, killed by needles and desperation and choices I was too soft-hearted to stop. Lisa will be 28 when they open the gates for her. I will be 61, God willing. I don't know if she'll try to find me. I don't know what I'll do if she does. But I know this, love that refuses boundaries isn't love. It's suicide wearing a mother's smile. I learned that lesson the hardest way possible, from the one person I never thought would teach it to me. My daughter tried to destroy me. I survived anyway. And every morning when I open my new sewing box, clean, simple, holding only thread and honest fabric, I remember that survival sometimes wears the coldest face of all. But it is, nevertheless, survival, and it is mine.